Michael, in order to expedite these negotiations, we are prepared to make you a very generous offer.
And we are prepared to reject that offer.
This is from The Office. This is a show that I have occasionally seen, but I confess I don't know all that much, although I clearly know that Steve Carell character. And I'm looking at the video and it says Michael Scott. So I'm guessing that Steve Carell is Michael Scott. You learn something new every day.
Michael, you haven't even heard.
Never accept their first offer. What is your second offer?
$12,000.
Are you kidding me? That is insultingly low. I don't even want to hear what your first offer was.
What do you hear?
Here's the situation. Your company is 4 weeks old. I know this business. I know what suppliers are charging. I know you can't be making very much money. I don't know how your prices are so low, but I know it can't keep up that way. I'm sure you're scared, probably in debt. That's the best offer you're gonna get.
I'll see your situation and I'll raise you a situation. Your company is losing clients left and right. You have a stockholder meeting coming up and you're going to have to explain to them why your most profitable branch is bleeding. So they may be looking for a little change in the CFO. So I don't think I need to wait out Dunder Mifflin. I think I just have to wait out you.
Okay, there's a lot there, right? First offers, or in this case, second offers, right? I mean, okay, there's something to be said about Steve Carell's advice saying don't accept the first offer. Of course, you actually need to hear the first offer. The other thing that's kind of interesting here, right, is at least so far, this really is a negotiation based on threats and fear. A common but not best practice.
I think I just have to wait out you.
Okay, now I don't know that I can get this. I do have to go to the board for approval. How's about $60,000? $60,000. Michael, what? What?
We're gonna have to talk about this.
Just amongst yourselves.
Okay, no, please take the room. We are out.
I mean, the good cop, bad cop, we have to go to our board for approval. That one is as old as the books, but also the kind of look of surprise, also not a best practice in negotiation.
Outside, take your time.
Oh my God, oh my God.
$60,000.
We are so rich.
So you've thought it over, yes, and you accept our offer. We can finally put this whole thing behind us?
No.
Can you give us another minute, please?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
How could you do this to me, Michael? You just cost me $60,000.
Oh,
Why are you assuming you'd get the whole thing?
it's a lot of money, okay? But we need money coming in every week. We need jobs. Wouldn't you rather have a fishing pole than a fish?
I would rather have $60,000, honestly.
No, Michael's right. Jobs are safer.
Agreed?
Agreed. But that's all, okay?
Yeah, discuss these things, please.
Hello? I want my old job back. I want my old parking space back. I want a Sebring.
They don't make him anymore.
And I want Charles gone.
I'm not firing Charles. He's very valuable.
That's very kind of you to say, David.
I need him gone.
No.
Okay, then I want Pam back.
You already have a new receptionist. I know.
Sales.
Thank you.
Pam's not a salesperson.
Yes, she is. At the Michael Scott Paper Company, in its heyday.
That's right.
Okay. Please continue.
And Ryan.
Ryan cost Dunder Mifflin hundreds of thousands of dollars, Michael.
You know
Ryan.
what? David, I don't care if Ryan murdered his entire family. He is like a son to me.
Do you realize what you're asking for here? You're talking about salary, plus health benefits.
And dental
plus
this time.
insurance, taxes, Social Security for 3 people. This is a heck of a lot more than 60 grand. You're talking about a multi-million-dollar buyout.
These are our demands.
Your company cannot be worth that much.
Our company is worth nothing. That's the difference between you and I. Business isn't about money to me, David. If tomorrow my company goes under, I will just start another paper company, and then another, and another, and another. I have no shortage of company names.
Michael.
That's one of them. Yes. These are our demands. This is what we want. Our balls are in your court.
So I'm really interested to see how this is going to turn out. But before we do, right, what Carell is doing here, pretty interesting. He is engaging in a tactic that is called flinch. So he's putting out more and more and more demands. And in some sense, right, he's waiting to see when Dunder actually flinches. It's clear he's determined that the bottom line wasn't $60,000. He also is making this interesting appeal, this difference between the two parties. And it's an appeal around different values. All you care about, Dunder, is money. But we care about people and their livelihoods. And that's a much more appealing, more yesable proposition. But I guess, or I hope, we're going to find out how it turns out.
Okay. Deal. Okay?
Can we have the room, please?
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's a good outcome for all. So let's take a minute and try to unpack some lessons from this negotiation. This is, in many ways, a classic haggle. And so, in some sense, right, it's not like the interest-based approaches to negotiation that you've seen discussed on this channel. But that doesn't mean there aren't some really good lessons here. First, I want to really note a shift, a turning point in this negotiation. In the earlier part of the negotiation, when Dunder is making these offers of $12,000 or $60,000, and we see Carell almost ready to accept that offer. The way I would analyze that is that Carell and his team are what we would call very bottom line oriented or very reservation value oriented. So because they aren't particularly well prepared, as soon as they hear something that sounds attractive, it's really easy to glom onto it and to say yes. From a negotiation perspective, we would coach them to think more about their own interests before going into this negotiation, to be a bit more prepared on what reasonable settlement amounts might look like, and then not to kind of have that deer in the headlights approach that they have when the $60,000 is offered. Of course, then there's this really interesting shift because in the second half, what we really see is Carell and his team become what we call aspiration value oriented. So they're framing this, of course, as demands, and I have a thought on that. But when I say aspiration value oriented, what they're really thinking about is their vision of what a really good outcome might be. And in this case, right, it's preserving a bunch of jobs, et cetera, and, you know, making sure they get a car and a parking lot, et cetera, and titles. From a negotiation perspective, we know research suggests that being aspiration value oriented tends to get better outcomes for yourself than being reservation value oriented. The other thing I want to note here, right, is there's one of the, quote, demands that Carell makes is that, I believe his name is Charles, gets fired. He frames it as a demand, but it certainly seems like Carell goes into this knowing that Charles is actually not going to get fired. I mean, he's literally saying it right in front of Charles. But I think he does this in a way to show that he's made a concession. It's important to give the other side some win here, and I think he's doing that quite nicely in this clip. Well, what are some of the other things that I think are effective here? I think actually asking for breaks is a really good idea. Now, in this case, again, going back to this idea of preparation, because there seems to be pretty much no preparation, the breaks are taken on an emergency basis. And what happens in the break isn't actually all that productive. But negotiation processes that do have built-in breaks where the parties can come together, talk things through so they can have a coordinated strategy, that is certainly worked well. I also want to make an observation about the use of the word demands. So again, in this particular clip, we see this working. It is definitely unhelpful in a negotiation as a general rule to frame your requests, to frame your interests, to frame your needs as demands. And part of the reason why is really good negotiators, they are putting themselves in the shoes of the person they're trying to influence, and they want to give that person a choice that is an easy yes. When you frame your interest, your need, your concern as a demand, what you're doing is putting the other person in a very awkward position because they either have to accede to your demand and look weak, or they just say no. And so from a framing perspective, I always want to frame my requests as, here's something that's important to me, here's something that I would be grateful for, here's something that matters to our team, and here's why. Because if I frame it as demand, I actually increase the likelihood that the other side is just going to say no, not because of the merits of it, but because they need to look strong and they can't set a precedent for giving in to demands. In fact, whenever through the years I would be advising Harvard law students who maybe were negotiating with the administration on some issue, and they would list like the 5 demands that the administration must do, right? I would always say, I get why this makes you seem powerful. And let me just say, if you're framing this as a demand, you almost force them to say no. Because no one can accede to a demand without looking weak. No one can accede to a demand without then teaching everyone else to make a new set of demands. So this clip is just filled with learning, some of which are in the Work Well department, some of which are in the Do Differently department. If you want to keep learning about negotiation, watch the next video, which is a mashup between me and my friends at Mended Light. It's a clip from Ted Lasso. Okay, if you like Carell, you'll love Sudeikis. Keep watching.